go. Let's go. Tommy there?
Let's rock and roll.
Let's get it going. You know, that was perfect Sunday night win. You know, stressful Sunday with football.
Yep.
It's NFL starting to get to money time where you're officially standings watching you make the playoffs, that sort of thing. And last week was awesome for the Warriors with the Spurs games and everything. And I could have used a nice Sunday low stress game for the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean it was low stress, but the way that Steph looked in the first half for a little bit, I was like, look, 95 points over 2 games against the Spurs at 37 years old. You're expecting him to have kind of a night like that afterwards, but the thing about like Steph and Dre both is they need to be like so locked in because they're undersized and unathletic for the league. They need to be so locked in. When they're not, it can look so bad. Like Steph has one of the highest ceilings.
Don't concern troll. Don't concern.
No. Steph has one of the highest ceilings in the NBA history. But when it looks bad, oh man, it looks bad. It looks really bad.
Let's get to it. I don't think there's too much to read into. Guys, presented by Prize Picks. Presented by Prize Picks as I fix my mic.
There we go.
Get $50 instantly in lineups. When you play your first $5, you use the promo code WELCOME to Light Years. All right, Tommy, let me get back to it. I think that was a professional win is what we'll call it. Like it is a undermanned Pelican squad. No Zion, no Jordan Poole. Even with them, they're not a particularly good team. So you can always like nitpick should they have blown them out by 40, should have blown out 50. And it's like, to me, it was they just had probably the biggest win of the season against the Spurs. It clearly mattered to them. That's the type of thing where I'm just like, man, there's like 5 players in the league I would trade Draymond for. I watch a game like the Spurs game. I'm like, I know he's getting, that sort of thing. So it's like, it was a big moment. This was the most obvious letdown energy-wise type of game. But you know what? They took care of what they need to take care of tonight.
Yeah, tonight was a night where it's just like, get the win. Doesn't matter how it happens. But they, there was some parts that were a little bit hairy. And it was like, if it gets down to like 5 or 7 in the third quarter there, you get a little bit nervous. But they controlled the game. And
Sure.
we talked about this a little bit offline, like right before we came on. Really nice to have Jimmy and Al at the end of that third quarter.
Yeah.
Because it would have been a moment where like before we had specifically Jimmy, but even Al, it could have gotten a little bit out of hand if like Pods is, trying to run the offense, or if it was still Wiggins. And much as I love Wiggs, like he's not going to run the offense and control the game like Jimmy does. So it was just nice to have those guys in at the end of the third where it's like at 9, you end up 14 at the end of the third. So yeah, it was a very professional win. Needed that after, because they obviously expended a ton of energy in those 2 Spurs games. So get that win, move on, and now we got 2 more big ones then the road trip.
And let's not bury the lead here, because I think there's a lot of things to talk about in this game, and I don't want to spend too much time on it, but Moses fucking Moody, man. 8 threes tonight, 33 points, career high. Really the first quarter, 7 threes in the first quarter. Like, it's just, of the second timeline, he is standing out over everyone right now in every way. And, it's kind of funny because like, I feel like along the way, we always assumed he was going to be the guy who played the most, because he was like always the most seamless fit. He knows who he is, not trying to be a playmaker, 3-and-D guy, plays hard, shoots the ball well. And it's been such an up and down road for him, but it feels like it's finally coming together for him this year. And that's awesome because like, one, he might have the best contract in the NBA right now, non-stars. But 2, it's like he's exactly what they need around their core. Jimmy's a guy who operates around the rim. Steph, he's going to get doubled everywhere. They need someone who can hit shots. And he's doing it right now. Yeah, Trey Murphy at home in the chat.
Well,
Trey Murphy.
Clay at home.
Oh.
That's what the chat's saying. But obviously nobody's Clay. Like, let's not get out of place here. Prime Clay is probably the best 3-and-D player of all time. I think you'd agree with that, right?
Not
So
probably. I can't think of someone better.
right. So just seeing him like he's the one who really like took the confidence from last year and vaulted off of it. We thought it was
Mhm.
gonna be Kuminga or maybe Pods, but Moses is the one that did it. Like he's turned from a guy that you might leave open. Like the Rockets put Sengun on him in the first round for a little bit because they didn't believe he was going to shoot the ball. And now it's like
Maybe they got word he had a broken hand.
yeah,
Hand looks good now.
yeah, that might have been it too. But now you cannot give him any space. He's coming off of pin downs. He's flying off of like floppy actions. He's doing everything that like a real deal shooter does. Like the way he's shooting it right now through the first 15 games, you can consider him like what a top 15, 20 shooter in the NBA. And
Top
that's
10.
like, yeah. And that's like, that's no small potatoes, man. Like that is, especially next to Steph, like you said, like having that pressure release and just a guy who can make shots off of him and a guy who can guard on the other end. That was the formula when they won championships. So it's really nice to like have this come to fruition. And this was the theory of Moses, and now he's fulfilling it.
He also had 3 steals. It's been undiscussed by you and me on the show, but like the just disruptive nature of him, and honestly, I'll throw Pods in there too. Like
Yeah.
this team has so many guys who just get their hands on, like they are small. They do play small. And part of playing small is you gotta kind of like be a little more physical. You got to kind of make up for your lack of size with effort. But the other advantage of playing small is if you have guys who see the floor well and have good hands, like you can turn people over. Like you're not going to win the game in a half court setting playing small. Like the last thing you want to do is get into a half court setting where bigger guys are posting you up the whole time. But you know what? You know what the great equalizer for that is? If you're just deflecting the shit out of everything, going the other way. And I think that's as big a part of the reason Moses Moody's on the floor all the time, because this, 3 steals, 1 block, that's coming a regular thing for him.
Yep.
Like anytime I look at the box score, it's, the threes are there, the shooting's there, he rebounds for his position, but he's always getting the defensive stats, the deflections, whatever it is. Some nights it's like 2, 3 blocks, some nights it's 2, 3 steals. To me, it doesn't really matter. It all says the same thing, which is just he's anticipating and he's being disruptive.
Yeah, I'm shocked when he doesn't have 3 stocks at this point. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it's a combination of steals and blocks, obviously. And yeah, it feels like I mean, he's obviously not the quickest guy in the world, but it feels like the game has slowed down for him. Where
Yeah.
he's instead of being reactive to everything, he's anticipating stuff. And you know, the way he's guarding the ball right now, nobody wants to dribble in front of him. Like he can at any moment he can pick somebody's pocket, and that is such a valuable thing to have on your team. Like that's what the Thunder have, right? Like they
Yeah.
have Caruso who can do that. They have Dort. They have Jalen Williams can do that. They have a
Case
bunch of
on
guys.
Wallace,
Case
my
on
guy.
Wallace. They have a bunch of guys. Yeah, yeah. But we might have, dude. We might have got another one in Will Richard. Like
Yeah.
I just continue to be impressed by him. Like I know we're talking about Moses right now, but Will has a lot of those same traits, and he's already 22. It took Moses 4 or 5 years because he came to the NBA at 18, 19 years old. But Will's already there. So like drafting another one of those guys and just having them, even when Melton comes back, Melton's going to probably take Will's place in the rotation. But
I
having
I
Will,
wouldn't be so certain that he
ooh, okay,
does either, by the way. I
okay,
think I think it's I mean, it's a good problem for Steve.
for
It's
sure.
gonna be a fun problem, but like to your point, yeah, he's playing so well. And I'd be remiss if I didn't take it here. It's like who's the best team in the NBA right now? The Thunder.
Absolutely.
Defending champs, they look scarier than they looked last year. They really do remind me of the Warriors a decade ago. Completely different style, but where it's like they win a
I hate to
title.
admit it, but you're right.
And the way they won a title, it was a little shaky. It was
Mhm.
classic, like first time being there. There was multiple opportunities for them to fold, but they didn't, right? And now they got the confidence factor with young guys getting better. They look terrifying, and I think they're not as good offensively as the Warriors were. They're not as explosive. It's a different type of thing. But what's interesting about them is they are the blueprint for the modern defensive monster. And it's like just surround your stars with as many 3 and D guys who are disruptive like strong and disruptive. That's the way I would define smart, strong, and disruptive is how I would define their defenders. Like Caruso, Dort, Kassan Wallace,
Jalen
Jalen
Williams.
Williams is this way. You can keep going on. Like they bring guys who don't even play that often, and they're this way. Like AJ Mitchell, another guy they threw out there, right? It's like
Jesus, how good is
the
he?
the assembly line is it feels like it's never ending for them in that standpoint. But it's like, how would you define those guys as defenders? Because they're all kind of undersized. To me, it's they're strong, they're smart, they don't make like they defend as a 5-man unit. They're strong. They can all guard in an island, and they all have great hands. And I kind of feel like that's kind of the recipe for playoff basketball at this point, which is like size is great. You need a certain amount of it, of course, but like it's more about like how many guys do you have who can be versatile defensively, who can make plays defensively.
They're all kind of built like NFL safeties, basically.
I was gonna go linebacker, but yeah,
Cam
Chancellor, just 12 Cam Chancellors.
Yeah, like they have guys who are wide and fast and quick and strong, and you're just not going to get by them at the point of attack, and which is the right way to approach the modern NBA, right? Because everybody wants to pick and roll and ISO and drive and kick and all that stuff, and this is why
and space you out. Even if you run different offense, you just want to see how much you can create space.
Correct. But why the Nuggets and the Pacers gave OKC trouble in the playoffs last year is because they run some motion to their offense. If you are trying to ISO and pick and roll against OKC, they're going to kill you every time. You're going to have no chance because they have 6 or 7 guys who can just stand you up at the point of attack. But if you can move them off ball a little bit, you have a chance. And that's why the Warriors have done well against them for the past couple of years. That's why the Nuggets had a chance. That's why the Pacers
minus Tuesday, of course.
Yeah. Okay, that doesn't count. Yeah, Steph was still sick. We're not going to count that. But you know what I'm saying? It's like the Thunder have approached the modern NBA the right way in terms of just getting guys who can guard at the point of attack. And they've also put an incredible rim protector behind that in Chet.
Yeah.
So like how are you ever going to score on them? I think their D rating right now is 5 points better than the second best team in the league. Like they're ridiculous. And so they are the model. Obviously, Presti is an incredibly smart GM. I think he learned a lot from losing to the Warriors in 2016. Like he just used to draft guys and trade for guys, sign guys who were good defensively, but they didn't have any feel. Now he's like added the feel component to that.
How much of that is like the game has changed because he built teams for the defense you needed. Like they built a team to beat the 08-09 Lakers. Like we need a guy who can guard the posts. We need size. We need Roberson. We need these lengthy guys on Kobe and just all the size over the world. That's kind of where he's easily the best GM in the league.
Yeah,
for his just ability. But what I was gonna say is I want to take back to the Warriors. I don't want to go on a Thunder tangent. Yeah. They're sneakily compiling a roster of defenders who are in the same vein. And I'm not gonna say they're as good because they haven't proven it and they're not gonna get there, but it's like, okay, Draymond, he invented that style of basketball. Like, let's just be clear. What the Thunder are doing is essentially a response to watching the way Draymond changed the game defensively.
It's all downstream from him. And Andre, honestly.
And Jimmy's always been that style of defender too. Like he's not the quickest, but he's so disruptive. He's strong in a one-on-one situation. You don't want to go at him. Like he's been that guy, but it's like, to your point, it's Moses Moody's really grown into being that type of piece defensively. He was not that guy 3 years ago. He is now. I think, I don't want to like slurp the Thunder too much, but like Moses Moody would play 25 minutes on the Thunder. Yeah. He would play on the Thunder. He fits their defensive scheme and he fits what they don't do offensively, which is shoot the ball particularly well out of role player positions. Will Richard, I mean, they would have drafted him. He fits everything they're doing. Even Pods, irritant, a little different in different ways, but like he does the same thing.
I'm going to do like a sidebar on Pods real quick. Like I understand why he's frustrating to a lot of the fan base. Like we wish he had a little bit more offensively, but the guy is always in the right place. He really is. Like he is underrated disruptively defensively. Like he gets 3 or 4 deflections a game that he has no business getting
Did you
athletically
know?
or like wingspan wise, but he just gets there. He just makes the play.
Did you know he leads the team in stocks?
Shocker.
I mean, it's like, is he the most disruptive player on the team? No, that's Draymond. Like, it just, sorry, it's going to be, but like at a certain point, you got to look at it. It's like, who has the most steals plus blocks combined pods? And it does match the eye test. To your point, like Smart knows what's going on and has good anticipation feel for when to jump the lanes on everything.
I mean, look, there's a reason he was the best plus minus the last 2 years. Like,
Sure.
it's not just coincidence, man. We've talked about it before, but as annoying as he can be, he just when he's on the floor, we typically win the minutes.
Mhm.
But to bring it full circle, Dunleavy and I think, the rest of the scouts in the front office have done a good job the last few years of identifying what's going to win in the modern NBA and drafting those type of players instead of like swinging for the super high upside, which is, what happened in 2020 and 2021 a little bit. They've course corrected and they've been like, okay, we know what wins now. We've seen who's winning and we're going to just draft those type of guys and we're going to hope they hit.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like, and I think that's, we're going to get to it in a minute, but like, as long as they stay healthy and they're older and we'll see how long they stay healthy, I don't see why they cannot continue winning at an elite clip with this lineup construction, which is
Mhm.
Steph and Jimmy are our stars. Everything moves off. Everything moves off of Steph. Jimmy knows how to exactly play off of him as a second star. And then they just need guys who defend and know where to be offensively and can stick enough shots. Like it is the exact formula we saw that had them 23-8 in the second half of last year.
Yeah.
It's there's no reason to believe they can't continue to win games at this clip. And I think actually what's exciting for me the most about it was tonight. Not as much like Friday night's Spurs game was just like one of those like, oh, this guy's like, I don't know if I can watch basketball when he retires. Like,
Yeah.
but it's like one
Yeah.
of those like Steph's the greatest of all time, and then like Draymond defensively, it's like I don't know. When I was watching that, I was like, I started getting emotional where I was just like,
Same.
they're just never going to be two guys like this again for my team. Never again, never again. But putting that aside, because that's not a repeatable formula for 82 games. Steph being a god going for 49 and Draymond defending like it's the finals. Like they can't do that every game. Tonight was actually what makes me more optimistic because Steph just kind of went through the motions. It was kind of a decoy Steph night. What did he end at? 28 total minutes. Okay, perfect. I'll put the turnovers aside; those were not pretty. But it was a lot of like, all right, everyone's going to double me no matter what I do, whether I'm hitting shots or not. So can you guys take advantage of that and let me just kind of do cardio out here half the game and get a win? Because if they can get this against bottom half of the league teams, one, they're going to have a better chance of keeping Steph and Jimmy healthy. And two, they have a better chance of getting 50 plus wins, which I think they should be able to do.
No, I think that's a really good way to frame it. It was super encouraging tonight that Steph could be terrible and Draymond could be average for most of the night, and they could still basically boat race the Pelicans. But that was the issue in Indiana and in Milwaukee, right? Like those two didn't play great in either of those games, and it was a struggle. So they need that was the whole point of what Draymond and Jimmy said is like, hey, we need a little bit more help. Like we will take you guys there when the moment matters. And I think that was what Steph and Draymond were doing in the two
Yeah.
games in San Antonio, saying, "Hey, we will take you there, but we need a little bit of help." Because again, me, you, and Andy talked about this. Like the young guys, they always doubt it for some reason. These guys can still do it. And once they prove it again, all right. But just come along with us. Help us beat the Pelicans. Help us beat the Pacers in
Do
Indiana.
you think they doubt it, or do you think there's just a young player like lack of conviction, confidence in just like committing? Like, I don't know if this is the right way to put it. It felt like one of those like fucking stand down. I'm gonna get you this W, play your role instead of trying to explore who you can be all the time.
I think it's a little bit of both, right? Like I think is the reason like these guys are in the NBA is because they believe in themselves.
Sure.
And they're not that they don't love Steph or Draymond or Jimmy, but they're always looking for the slightest crack where like maybe this can be my moment to take it over. But you got to send a reminder every once in a while. And once that reminder's there, everybody's going to fall in line. You know what I mean? And that's what the last 2 games were. That's really what they were. And obviously, dude, like Steph he was so insane in those last 2 games. Like
Yeah.
he proved again that in a 1-game scenario, nobody I'm taking over him. And but that's going to make a guy like, Moses or Moses not like that, but JK or Pods or
Sure.
everybody else to make them fall in line. So I do think it's about, you got to prove it again every year. Like, you're only as good as your last day type of thing.
Sure.
But
Sure.
yeah,
And I mean, look, we're going to talk about it on the other side here. Like,
yeah.
obviously, Kuminga missing games is a factor in this too. But before we talk about that, guys, it's time for me to talk about my underwear. And, uh, when you have to have a tough conversation, which we're about to have on this podcast, you want to feel comfortable. It's tough enough to have the conversation. The last thing I need is a wedgie. The last thing I need is things to feel uncomfortable. And, that's why I wear Skims, guys. By far the best boxer brief I have ever worn. The perfect blend of structure, support, and flexibility. It's exactly what I want. It's not too tight where I feel uncomfortable and I'm constantly like adjusting stuff, but it's also not so loose that I'm also doing the same thing just for a different reason. Best boxer briefs I've had. Just, Kim, you've outdone yourself. These are amazing. Guys, shop Skims Men's at skims.com. And if you're looking for the perfect holiday gift for the whole family, Skims just launched their biggest holiday shop ever. Also available at skims.com. Guys, let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey, select our show in the drop-down menu as follows: Skims Men's at skims.com, select light years.
How do I even follow that up? That was ridiculous. Light Years Podcast. We are brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. I've decided I'm not giving picks anymore because the last couple of times I have has not gone well. So you guys can make your own picks, but the best way to do that is on Prize Picks because it's the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can get the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. The app is really easy to use. To create a lineup, all you have to do is pick more or less on a few player stats for your shot to win. So download the app today and use code LIGHTYEARS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code LIGHTYEARS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it is good to be right.
It is good to be right. You know how I know I was right today?
Switch your mic.
I played Josh Allen. That worked out for me.
Good for you.
That first interception he had, I was sweating a little bit, but dude, did you know? So this is the 3rd time he's thrown 3.
Switch your mic.
3 touchdowns. Did you know that?
Really?
The 3rd time he's done it. He's the only player who's ever done it.
Yeah, he's pretty special. He's pretty goddamn good.
It's he is. My favorite thing. Josh Allen is who people thought Tim Tebow was. Remember Tim Tebow in college?
Obviously, yes.
Yeah.
I grew up in the 2000s.
Goal line fullback, or just like anytime
Sure.
he goes in and there's a quarterback and all that sort of stuff. Well, it turns out if you can do that, but actually you have one of the best arms of all time, it's a little more advantageous.
Fun fact, I played a catch with Josh Allen and Sam Darnold, 4th of July, 2018 in Newport Beach. Longer story to that. But the sound, no. The sound of the ball when it's whizzing at you from guys like that, it's like nothing you ever heard in your life. It sounds like a fighter jet flying at your head.
Who threw it better?
Sam, honestly. Tighter spiral.
That would have been my guess.
Tighter spiral. Josh has a bigger arm, but
well, no, that's the whole thing. Like, I'm gonna get off this real quick. Josh Allen, maturing from like raw talent who couldn't have any accuracy to like actually now he's just gonna be able to throw it in like tight windows on top of having the strongest arm. Like, honestly, it's why Trey Lance got drafted, which was a mistake. But like, it's the type of development thing that like it doesn't happen.
Trey Wiseman.
Well, I don't think he's this soft, but whatever. Anyway, that's a different conversation. You get that TK screenshot. You're so
I,
soft, baby.
I mean, I think that's Josh progressing like that, and maturing as a quarterback. I think it's a solid transition to what you wanted to talk about. One Jonathan Kuminga.
Well, I mean, okay, so it's like there's no way around it. Like I don't want to get into like the negative waters, but like the reality is they benched him. He started missing time, and they look exactly like the team that they looked like last year. And it just is what it is. Like he had a great start to the season, but he kind of regressed back to who he was the entire way. And can we just talk about it? Like I feel like it should be obvious to everyone who's listening at this point, but to me, it's not even about him anymore. It's just about his skill set. His skill
Yeah,
set is not what this team needs. He wants to be Jimmy Butler. He's not as good as Jimmy. Jimmy with another Jimmy is just, it's always going to be an awkward fit. That's like really what it comes down to. They operate in the same spots on the floor. They want the ball in their hands at the same time. And, it can work. It worked against Denver, and that game was fucking rocked, But it's like, it's always going to be instinctually opposite to what they think. And then you put someone like Moses in there or Will Richard, who are true 3-and-D guys who know how to operate off ball, who aren't trying to get the ball in their hands and operate in the post area. All of a sudden, the whole thing makes more sense.
they just Kuminga, obviously, like you said, he's done a better job of moving the ball. Like he's become a better passer. He's seeing the floor better. But his natural instinct is not to move the ball. He wants to catch and hold and survey, which is what Jimmy wants to do. Like you said, but Moses and Will, if they don't have a shot or an immediate drive, they just move it. And those are the best type of guys to put around Steph and Draymond and Jimmy as well. Like you just want to essentially get out of those three's way, and they're going to make every decision. Your team is going to be better if they're making every decision about to pass or shoot or whatever. So it's like you said, it's really not even his fault. And that's why it's a shitty conversation. And that's why it's been a tough fit. But it just, it's not going to work, man. Like you got to put 3-and-D guys around them, or guys who are just kind of more connector types. And JK is just not that. For all of his strengths, he's not that.
It is kind of the shittiest part of it because I've been more than encouraged by like his effort and his buy-in.
Yep.
Like he's done everything the right way. He's just not that guy. That's not his skill set. And so whenever he comes back, which it sounds like it could be the next game, or maybe it's a couple games down the line, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be long. He's going to come off the bench. And I think the reality of it is his best role on this team going forward is most likely going to be Jimmy when Jimmy's off the floor.
Yep.
Right. And to be honest with you, they need it because even tonight, good Lord, that offense looked terrible when Steph went to the bench. They don't have like Pods, I think, has he's kind of rounded into form. He's been good.
Yeah.
But they clearly were hoping he was going to take that third-year leap as a shot creator. No, he's still kind of the same guy. He's still kind of does everything, and every now and then he pops in for 20. Tonight was a night he popped in for 20, but like he's just not he's not Jordan Poole, He's not like that offensive threat. And like while Kuminga does it a completely different way, like one thing you cannot say about him is he can't score the ball. Like he can get to the rim, he can put the ball in the basket. And so to me, it's obviously he's going to find a role when the main guys are off the floor as like a primary offensive weapon for them and someone who they can run the offense through. And hopefully they don't go through 4-minute scoring droughts, which they do every time Steph sits right now. But then the second part of it is like, can he accept that? Can he stay bought in? Because that I think that's the hard part. Is I think he wants to prove he can play with Steph and Jimmy. He's willing to try to prove it, and he tried to commit to it with the rebounding and doing everything. And I don't know, Moses and Will are just better fits with those lineups, and so he's going to get pushed to a different thing, and that kind of sucks. That kind of sucks from his standpoint.
Like we said, like from everything we've heard, like he's not a bad dude. Like to a man, everybody says like he wants to do the right things. he just has, I guess, different ideas about who he is. And like I get it. Like super talented, was the number one recruit in high school, played for G League Ignite. And if he can accept just being that bench scorer, I think the entire team will be better for it. Like play 15 to 20 minutes a game and just try to score. Like it's great that he was trying to do all the connective stuff, and there's still going to be like a need for that, even if he's coming off the bench. But the whole team is better served if he's just trying to get buckets in a way. Like just go dominate bench units and score 16 points in 20 minutes. Because the fit with the starters is just it's never going to be there. It
10,
only works
12 points in 20 minutes. Those type of things where you're just
right.
like, damn, when he was on the floor, he just put pressure on the rim the entire time.
Yep. Yep. Like the fit with the starters only worked when him and Jimmy and Draymond were all shooting like 50% plus from three.
Actually,
Yeah.
I have a better theory on that one. The fit only works when they play really fucking unathletic teams like Denver and the Lakers.
Yeah.
Because those were his two best games. And like Jokic is one of the greatest offensive players of all time. Not quick. Like Denver in general is kind of a slow team defensively.
Plotting.
And the Lakers are even worse. And so those are just classic, like if he just buys in, 15 possessions are going to end with him dunking the ball. Because it's like, Luka and Austin jump at Steph. It's unathletic. Ball swings. They don't have the defenders to recover. And then JK gets one step and it's a dunk. And it's awesome. It's perfect. But it's like, how many teams are there that is their reality they're going up against? A handful,
Yeah, no, not many. It's
Sure.
like you said, it's Denver, it's the Lakers,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a couple teams in the East, but like you're not really seeing those teams until the finals. So like, how much does it really matter?
And that's actually kind of the interesting thing because like everyone kind of lost their minds over the Pacers loss and the Bucks loss for good reason. And why did they lose those games? There's a bunch of reasons, but I'll tell you the biggest one: turnovers.
Yeah,
And the biggest reason they turn the ball over is poor spacing and poor decision making against athletic teams that can get their hands in the lane and
yeah,
force it. And I'm not putting that all on JK because Steph and Draymond had their, they had a certain amount of just like, yeah, Steve has this face when they do it. It's the fucking best thing ever. But like a lot of it was just because they're trying to fit a player in who does not fit the way they want to play. So like, you can help off of the corner, even if he's standing in the corner, or like they're trying to make an extra pass so they can get him cutting. Whereas some of that stuff would just be more natural if you had a true shooter out there, and it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, it just is what it is. Like the skill sets are different. Like if they had Klay Thompson instead of Jimmy, they wouldn't be better because, I love Klay. He reinvents himself as just the most likable guy ever in every step, but he's kind of washed these days. But like,
light my fire.
but like, you know what I mean? Like he's just going to run to the corner and do the shooting stuff. And so Kuminga could be the guy who operates kind of in the post or like the pinch post or like that sort of thing. But like, you can't do that with Jimmy.
No, and teams are already going to sag off of Dre and Jimmy. Like they're not going to guard those guys for the most part. And they're just both better players than Kuminga is by like a lot. And like again, that's not supposed to, I'm not trying to like shit on Kuminga. They're just way better than he is. Like it's so many other things within the game. So you can only afford so many of those guys in the modern NBA who can't shoot the ball. And if they can't shoot it, they better be elite at all the stuff that doesn't involve shooting the basketball. And that's what Jimmy and Dre are. And Kuminga is just not that.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we're at, and like everything else is noise. I'm sorry, everything else is noise. Like even the Twitter exchange from this weekend from two of my favorite people, TK is the goat, and The Rock, Aaron Turner.
Rock,
like,
guy.
I like them both. I don't have any problems
Same.
with either of them, but it's just kind of like none of this is all window dressing for just the reality of square peg round hole, which is what's going on here. So it's like, if you're online, which, enough of our listeners are terminally, it's just kind of like, TK was doing his thing. He's just pointing out that like they play more fluid without Kuminga, and it's kind of like last year. And Aaron Turner, he did what he's supposed to do, which was he was defending his guy. And I don't have a problem with him doing that.
Nope.
And he's pointing out that, Steph scored 48 points per game in San Antonio. What are we talking about? And, he can say it all he wants, but largely it was because the lineup constructions got Steph into better positions. And if Steph gets into the positions he wants to get into, like, yeah, you're fucked. I don't know what else to say. He did not play well in Indiana or Milwaukee. I'm not going to say it's
Or
just because
tonight.
I'm not going to say it's just because JK got in the way, because that'd be disingenuous and dishonest to say that. But it's just more fluid and easier when the lineup composition is more balanced, when you have a certain amount of shooters versus cutters versus guys who want to operate in the paint,
There is a lot of Steve Kerr criticism that happens online. And, I get it to a certain extent. Like, he plays too many small lineups. We both have our frustrations with him. But when Steph was on the Amazon Prime post-game interview with the panel the other night, he was talking about how Steve always says the ball finds energy. And Steph truly believes that. There's a reason that Steve is still the coach. It's because Steph believes in him unequivocally. And so Steph feels better and he plays better when the ball is moving, the ball is popping. And it just does not happen as often when Kuminga is on the floor, because that's just not the type of player he is. And again, it's not really even his fault. That's just who he is as a player. But the entire point is to make your best player feel the most comfortable on the floor. And he feels more comfortable without Kuminga on the floor. It's just obvious, especially from a scoring standpoint.
And that's kind of why we've been pushing for the trade for years. Just it's obvious the fit, like everyone would be better. JK would be better going to a team where he gets to operate as his first or primary or secondary option, gets to explore, figure out how he fits in. And the reality is, like, I don't want to rehash that. The reality is they have to make this work for at least 2 more months, at least 35 more games. And so that's kind of where my focus is with it, which is, can they reintegrate him? Can he buy in and figure out the best way to be successful in a smaller role, which is going to be closer to 20 than 30 minutes?
Yep.
And then everyone's like, if that happens and they continue winning, there's a more likely scenario in 2 months, 2.5 months, everyone gets what they want.
Yeah. It's just how long can they fake it, right? It's like it's kind of like just like a failing relationship that we've all been in. You know what I mean? You still have
This is like Dell waiting for the kids to leave before he can fucking put the Gucci belt and the lizard sweater on, and get back out there.
Like you moved in together like 9 months ago and you still got 3 months left on the lease. And you're just trying to make it to the end of that lease. And when the lease ends, you're like, all right, this is not going to work. But you're just trying to make it to that point so it doesn't get weird and awkward where you have to like timeshare the place. Like that's essentially what this is right now. So I hope they can make it work. I really do. And obviously, if he gets better, keep him on the team. But I just don't see a world where that happens.
It's just, I mean, we went through this the last 6 months of the season, and I don't know, like it, people love to like just, you want to blame Michael Jordan for something. It's like, or blame Nike for something. It's like this like romanticized, like, one man beats an island, when like actually the sport has a lot to do with 5 people operating together and skill sets. And I don't have to tell you about it, but like I've heard Steve and Ron Adams more than anyone talk about like kind of, how like the mythology kind of makes people miss what's really going on the floor. And this is a perfect example because like, individually, he's more talented than some of the young players that play over him. He's more talented than Will Richard, but Will Richard knows who he is and is probably better suited for the role that they need.
100%.
This is what it is.
We don't need to belabor it too much more. Like it is what it is. It's incredible that we got to turn this into a a 15-minute JK.
It's not even, but it's like we had to touch on it.
We
And
did.
the other thing that you guys have to touch on is if you're trying to get your body in control and get it in shape, the number one thing to do is be honest with yourself about where you're at. Not everyone looks as good as me and Tommy. No, just kidding. The reality is, you get older, body works differently, and you want to actually know what's going on. And standing on the scale is like, some 1970s, 80s shit. It's not a real accurate measure where you're at. And so my friends at Body Spec, what they've done is they made the DEXA scan affordable for all. What's a DEXA scan? It's a highly accurate method of measuring your body's composition and telling you what's really going on. And what's cool about Body Spec is for only $45, you can get a scan to tell you body fat percentage, lean muscle mass, visceral fat, the fat around your organs, like all the things that's really happening in your body. And what's cooler about them is they have mobile vans that will come to you. So literally, you go bodyspec.com, use the code LightYears45, you sign up for a scan, they'll come to you, scan you 10, 15 minutes, results in your email. Boom, done deal. Can't get a better deal than that. So guys, go to bodyspec.com, use the code LightYears45, sign up for a DEXA scan, start your fitness journey.
Light Years Podcast. We are brought to you by ZBiotics. I have to tell you about this game-changing product I use before a night out with drinks. It's called Pre-Alcohol. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration. That's a blame for the rough days after drinking. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. So go to zbiotics.com/lightyears to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use lightyears at checkout. ZBiotics is backed by a 100% money guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/lightyears and use the code lightyears at checkout for 15% off.
Yeah. Warriors trade target Trey Murphy today, by the way. Kind of rough.
Yeah. Yes.
But again, he's missing his first two options, so to be expected. I don't think of him as a phenomenal shot creator. I don't think that's really his role. Kind of thrust into it a little bit, but
if you're just doing kind of like you're swapping him out for JK, I think the fit is pretty obvious who's the better fit. He shoots. We said Moses is a top 15, top 10 shooter in the league right now. Trey's better than that. He's a ridiculous shooter. Has more passing chops than you'd think. 6'8", super long, can get up over the top of the rim.
Dunk contest guy. That's like the real exciting thing with him is he's a shooter, but he can get his head above the rim.
Yeah, you can obviously see him spotting up on the wing or in the corner and shooting a three. But you can also see him Steph gets double off the pick and roll, classic 4-on-3 tic-tac-toe lob to Trey. He'll get his elbows at the rim. So it's just, and he's not great on the ball defensively, but he's long enough and he's active enough and he's smart enough. He can be disruptive. And if you put him in a lineup with it's Steph, Moody, Trey, Jimmy, Dre, how many lineups are you taking over that in the entire league? It's very few. Maybe one of the Nuggets lineups and maybe one of the Thunder lineups. It's very, very few.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to cost and who knows what the Pelicans want for him. And there's a bunch of things, but
we can't trade first-round picks. Just remember
that's true. That's true. Yeah. It's in the CBA.
Yep.
It's in the CBA. The Warriors are not allowed to trade first-round picks. But it's just hard to see a player in that 20 to 30 salary range who is better and an easier. He is. I was scrolling today. I just don't think there's a better fit out there. There's a better player out there in any capacity than him. And then the last part of it is this is a dumpster fire organization.
Oh my God.
I think his upside is underrated defensively and in other aspects of the game because he's playing. I mean, Zion's been a disappointment. Everything about the organization has been a disappointment. You cannot underrate how much taking a player who clearly understands how to play winning basketball from a bad team to a good team. Like in a certain way, it's kind of like, Caruso, right? Caruso clearly was a good winning player stuck on a garbage team. Goes to the Thunder, everyone's like, why didn't we get him? That sort of thing, right? So
I think it's like the middle ground between like Caruso was an obvious winning player. Like we saw him win a
because
championship
he'd
in
already
LA.
proved it. Yeah.
Right. Right. It's the middle ground between that and like what Wiggins was in Minnesota. Like
Yes.
where it's like you can pull more out of this guy, but he's stuck in such a bad situation that essentially people get like the wrong idea, and like he's developing bad habits. Like if you can get him out of that situation, get him into a winning environment, that there's a lot more there on top of the skill that already has. And our guy Sage in the chat is saying like, and we talked about this. Trey's like a borderline all-star with the Warriors. Like
Yeah.
genuinely. He would average 20 a game easily, just off of open threes and like back cuts. And that's on top of everything else that he can do defensively, or like I said, underrated passer. Like he's a very talented player. It's just about getting him into the right spot.
Yeah, because he's not a primary option. So if he's on a team with like a couple lemons as the primary option, which has been most of his career in New Orleans with like Ingram,
Yeah.
and with like, I mean, just quite frankly, Zion's just never on the floor healthy in shape. So, it's kind of like that sort of thing where he is wasted because he's everyone's favorite like third option, two-way wing, the Mikal Bridges, the OG Anunoby, those type of players on the right team. And I think that's what's exciting about the Warriors. Like, you feel good about Steph and Jimmy as those primary guys. Obviously, they're older. You just want to surround them with as many optimal role-playing pieces as possible. And Trey would represent that, that third option shooter who can have a 35-point night on a fairly consistent basis around those guys.
Yeah. I mean, Moses kind of did that tonight, right? Like we kind
Yeah.
of saw what it looked like. And I think that's obviously the most exciting thing about Moses. But the thing that's different about the way that the Warriors play, you don't necessarily need, like, it would be great to get another guy who can go get a bucket off the dribble. But with the way they run their offense, they can create advantages just through movement off the ball.
Mhm.
And Moses is starting to become one of those guys. And if you had Trey to that mix as well, you have obviously Steph, who's going to create the most advantages ever, maybe in the history of offensive basketball. And then you add two top 10, top 15 shooters in the league to that mix. Like your offense is going to vault into a top 5 in the league category. And we know they're going to be a top 10, top 5 defense at the end of the day when they're
Sure.
locked in. So like that is a championship winning formula at the end of the day. It just is.
Chat saying JK for Trey Murphy is the new JK for Cam Johnson. No shot.
Cam, he's so much better
I
than Cam. It's not even close.
I do agree with the cynicism on the no shot. I get what you're saying there, but yeah, that was gonna be my question. Who'd you rather have? Yeah, Trey's obviously the better player.
Way better. It's not even close. Cam
Might be a better shooter, comparable.
I don't even know about that. Cam is just, he's very, there's not a lot of ceiling with Cam. He hasn't been good in Denver this year, but you would assume like the assumption was like he'll lock in a certain floor as a player, but there's not really a lot of ceiling. He's going to make open jump shots. He's going to be smart, going to make the right plays. But Trey has a ceiling. He's obviously way younger too. Trey has a ceiling that Cam could never imagine reaching, and that would be the exciting thing about Trey.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, we got a couple people. We're gonna bring them on and let them get out of here.
Oh, let's do it.
Let's get our guy.
What's up, fellas?
What's up, man?
going on?
How you doing?
Good, man. Happy to see the Warriors is back on the winning side. It was a tough couple of games, but glad they're getting it together. Man, New Orleans, all they fans need paper bags, man. Both teams. So. But yeah, I don't know what his problem was. ESPN just dropped that he was calling Draymond Green Angel Reese. Like, dude, like Draymond Green's a champ. Like, y'all have
Hey,
nothing better
Angel
than
Reese a
him.
champ too. No disrespect.
Oh yeah. Bayou Barbie. all day. I mean, Future Valkyrie too. I'm gonna just plug it. But yeah,
Maybe.
man. But like, I guess New Orleans has nothing to do except for Mardi Gras. I mean, they must be terrible living out there. But yeah. But JK, man, like I don't have no problem with Jonathan Kuminga. I don't know who we gonna trade him for. I honestly think he's gonna be here for the rest of the year, and they're gonna have to force themselves to try to find something to make it work. Whether it's off the bench, whether it's him starting, some's got to shake. But I mean, he's a solid player where we're gonna need his contribution. Um, the more teams and more basketball that I watch with the Warriors and everything, all these teams are young, man, and they're running and gunning and stuff. And the Warriors are doing their little Jedi mind tricks where they're like finding the soft spots where they can attack, but all that's not going to work all the time. And Steph is not going to save us all the time. And we don't have the length to compete at times, and it looks bad and looks bleak. But in 30 I trust, and we just gonna keep taking it game by game. Let's go Warriors.
The reality is I don't disagree with you. I think there's a
Yeah.
larger chance than we're acknowledging that you're right. He's going to be here all year. And so that's kind of where my focus is. Like, we can talk about the Trey Murphy for Kuminga trade, and like, newsflash, it's easy to explain how it works. What I'm more focused on is like how they can make it work with JK, at least to the trade deadline, and then see what you got. And that's kind of where the mind needs to be on this sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, if you're going to put a percentage on it, like, is it better than 50% that JK is still here after the trade deadline? Like, what would you put a percentage at?
On November 16th, I would say there's a more likely chance than not, because it's way too early. It's always easier to bet against a trade happening than a trade not happening. So, we can talk about how, like, if he was flipped for the right 3-and-D guy with a little more juice, because Trey's got more juice than, Will Richard offensively, or Moses Moody, honestly, even though Moses was fucking phenomenal tonight.
Yeah.
Everyone wants that guy. We just watched Desmond Bane get moved for 4 fucking first-round picks. And granted, that was with like contracts that are less attractive with less upside than Kuminga, so maybe it's different. But like, yeah, that's kind of the reality of it.
Yeah, I mean, that was a crazy overpay. I get what Orlando was doing, but man, that was a wild overpay.
Sure, but like
they're going for it.
If the Pelicans put Trey Murphy on the block, the Warriors aren't bidding against Joe Lacob. I mean, kind of, but
yeah, they are actually.
But they're bidding against 29 other teams,
yeah.
And who's going to be the team who wants him the most? And I can tell you right now, the Warriors are not the only team in the NBA who views Trey Murphy as that piece who could get them over the top.
Like, how many firsts would you give up for Trey?
2.
Yeah.
You would hope Kuminga plus 2 plus a swap gets it done. That's a lot. But I don't know. Like, a lot of it comes back to, do they like Kuminga? Because I don't think the Warriors are trading Kuminga plus 4 for anyone other than Giannis.
Do Troy Weaver and Joe Dumars like Kuminga? I think so. I would assume.
Maybe.
Troy Weaver loved Wiseman.
But do they like that offer more than other offers?
Sure.
That's the thing. The point is, if they're willing to trade Trey Murphy, it's not. This is where the Wiggins comp loses steam, because at the time most teams didn't want him on the contract with the reputation he had. Yeah, Trey doesn't have that reputation.
He's a press asset. He was a press asset for sure. I think what it comes down to in a way is like, do you trust Mike to navigate that situation correctly? Like, I think he's done a really good job in a lot of ways. Like, he's made some bad moves, but obviously has a great eye for talent, has made some very shrewd moves. But would you trust him to outbid other teams if that's what it came down to?
I mean, he's not operating with the same power and autonomy that Presti or Morey or some of these other guys are. So I don't know. It's to me, it's like, it's fun to talk about for 5-10 minutes, but also we got 30 plus games before like these conversations get real. So Let's get to Guru real quick.
Uh-oh.
Guru got called in. Oh, there he is. There's my guy.
Hey guys, hey guys, hey
Are we getting
guys.
more sleep? Are we getting more sleep?
We are
Okay.
we're figuring out shifts. We're getting more sleep.
Love
I
it.
go back to work tomorrow, so
Okay.
it's happening, kind of.
Good luck.
We
Good luck with
appreciate
Yeah.
you
that.
staying up with us.
Good luck with trying to manage those two.
Oh dear, oh dear. I don't know how it's gonna happen, but I mean, at least Steph and the Dubs are keeping me afloat these last couple of games, and obviously for Friday's game was a classic, and
Mhm.
yeah, I mean today's game was these are the games that you need to win, right? And I mean this is where like you wish you won the Pacer game,
Yep.
right? And you wish that you weren't the one in the 1-12 for the Pacers, right? But yeah, I mean, this team is flowing. Love, I mean, all it takes is one more role player to join the party, right? And today it was Moody, right?
Yeah.
And Pods came on at certain points. The threes were going in. The ball is moving, and hey, you guys have been talking about JK ad nauseum. I mean, there's so many ways to create space for Steph, right? And the way that JK was had to be able to do it was, dive to the rim, make defenses fear you. And at a certain point when you drive and you're turning the ball over or you're stopping in the lane, like defenses are not fearing you at that point, and it's really hard to move the ball, and it's really hard to score in 24 seconds when that's the case, right? And so I think we saw the good part of JK for the first 4 or 5 games. I mean, I literally came on the show and I said that like I hope JK keeps it up, and then I went on paternity, and then shit hit the fan, right?
Yep.
So I mean it is what it is,
Maybe
but
you going
yeah.
back to work gets him back on track. Maybe
I hope
he can
so.
only perform when Guru's around.
Maybe
We're gonna get Guru stats here. Like
Gers. I think it's 8-1.
Gurlytics.
It's 8-1, guys. It's 8-1 when I watch. So
Wow.
yeah. So yeah. I mean, I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take one for the team when it comes to that. But yeah, a lot of dunking on Trey Murphy going on the app right now, and all I gotta say is those guys. They don't know about basketball. I mean, Trey Murphy is basically the number one option for the Pelicans right now, and
Uh, uh, uh,
that's not his game.
what is the alternative?
I know.
The alternative to Trey
Oh,
Murphy is Jonathan Kuminga, who turns the ball over every time he dribbles in the lane and tries to cut through two defense. Like, at
yeah,
least Trey can shoot. On the Warriors, he would not have to dribble the ball that much. He's taking 2 dribbles at
exactly,
most. He's shooting spot up threes, and he's backdooring for dunks. Like,
exactly. Bingo.
it's an entirely different ballgame. But there's a lot of people out there who don't know basketball.
One question for you guys: what is the trade target that you guys have in mind? And you guys probably did a podcast episode on this like eons ago, right? Who's the one trade target you have in mind that nobody's talking about?
Go ahead,
ooh,
Sam.
that's a great question. I've been trying to steer clear of the trade target stuff, even though I get pulled back into it every
Yeah,
time.
every time,
Human
every
nature.
time.
So I'm gonna throw it to Tommy first as I recalibrate.
Oh wow. Okay. I wouldn't say nobody's talking about it, but I think uh, Daniel Gafford, Najee Marshall for JK would be interesting. I love Najee. It's my guy. Just a pure connector. Has a little bit of juice off the bounce. Shoots it well enough. And I do think they need to ensure the center position a little bit. Like TJD is obviously a 0 at this point. Al is very solid, but he's 39 years old. Quentin can shoot the hell out of the ball, but do you really trust him against the best teams in the league? Like, they need some size that's playable. And even if Gafford's not a huge factor in the playoffs, he can help you get through a regular season. And Najee would be a part of a playoff rotation. So you can essentially get 2 guys, and they would both be helpful in certain facets.
Neither of these are my primary option, but Colin Sexton
Love that one.
on the
Love him.
Hornets would solve the offensive issue when Steph's off the floor. Kind of poor man's Jordan Poole. Not as explosive, but he can definitely score the ball. And the other one I'm going to throw out there is Obi Toppin. Not my favorite target.
Okay.
Not my
that's a
favorite
good
target,
one.
but have you looked at the Pacers record?
Exactly. Oh my God, that's
They
a
have
good
one.
one.
Do they have one win?
Yes.
Okay.
I know they tried
Who
to
did that
trade
come
for
against?
JK. I know they tried to trade for JK 2 years ago.
Okay.
They
yeah.
were interested in trading for JK in the past, and they're very much in a let's enjoy our gap year while Tyrese Halliburton. Let's see if we can find talent. Like Boston's the same thing, but I don't think Derek White is like an obscure target or like a surprising target. And I also don't think the Warriors would pay the price, to be honest with you. So I'm looking at like I don't think Indiana trades Naismith or Nemhart, but I do think Obi Toppin's potentially available. I don't know if that's like the return that would get Joe to do it, but
Zero chance.
Yeah.
he does fill 2 holes for this team though. Like one, they're perennially short on front court players. Particularly ones who can shoot the ball and fit into their system athletically. Like you can see him being a very valuable bench piece for this team offensively.
It'd be nice to have the guys set a pick and roll for Steph who can actually go up and dunk the basketball.
Or pop. Like have a guy who can actually do both, you know? Like cuz like right now it's one or the other. Or what it usually is, which is a guy who's just looking to get into a DHO to get Steph a relocated shot.
Which is fun.
It's not like the most exciting outcome, but like would Obi Toppin not be a valuable piece for this team? And it's not the shot creator, but it's someone they can run offense through when Steph's off the floor too.
Yeah, no, it'd be nice. Like he had his up and down moments in the playoffs,
but he did have some he was able to play for them at times.
Yes. Yeah, no, he had some moments where it's like they would not have won this playoff game without him. You know, and like I think people get kind of a twisted sense of reality about like guys who can play in playoff games. Realistically, on every team, there's probably 4 to 5 guys you trust in every playoff game. And after that, like it's kind of just a mishmash. And you're just hoping that, like GP was big in a couple games in the Rocket series. Other games he's unplayable. Yeah, like that's how it is for most teams. And that's kind of what Obi is in a certain sense, but he can win you a playoff game like GP did. So like, yeah, I would do it, but Joe Lacob never will.
But I think that's actually an attainable target. So I'm trying to because I can come out here and just like lie to you about like, oh, let's trade for Lauri Markkanen. It's like, no shit, dude. Like that sort of thing. I'm trying to think of guys who are in that like under 30 million salary range on a team that might be interested in moving them for an upside swing, which is what they would be doing. Like the Pacers would be interested in doing it, seeing if they could get more out of Kuminga in a year or two.
Yeah.
Well, is one of the guys that Lacob would move multiple picks for? Would that be Walker Kessler for you guys?
Well, he's out for the year.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think he'd like
I missed that.
something.
Things that happen when you're on paternity.
Yeah. Exactly. It's not your fault, Guru. But
I know.
I mean, I would love Walker Kessler, but Joe would never do it. I just not enough upside for Joe.
Not enough sizzle. Can't put him on a poster outside the Chase Center.
Yep.
But
a lot,
though.
Yeah. A lot of it's going to depend on how Melton comes back. Like I think that's going to be the trigger point. Like, how do the Warriors look with Melton? What is the piece we need after he comes back?
That is a wild card that we're not talking about. Sam, I know you're going the same direction. Like that's what we're not talking about. Like they do have potentially a incredibly impactful player coming back into the lineup, and then I think you have to reevaluate things after that.
Yeah, maybe they don't need a guard after that. Maybe he seals up the guard spot, and Pod's offense feels a little cleaner when you have Melton next to him. So I mean, that's the other part of it where I'm just like, man, there's like 30 plus games before we get to this. So let's see what happens. Guru, appreciate you, man. Go get some sleep.
All right, man. Take care.